Hello, everyone. Janeway here. Going to talk about the first of two negative decks I have used this season. This negative deck I'm calling the Thor Variant, I guess. So the basic idea here is, like normal, get Mr. Negative out as quickly as possible to end up flipping power with cost. And so in that case, in this deck, Ironheart, Mystique, uh, Iron Man, Gore, and Taskmaster would all be free, which gives you tremendous flexibility during the last one or two turns to do a surprise crush on the enemy. Uh, Beta Ray Bill would also be in here if I had it, but right now I don't with this account. Um, Sidebar, apparently I am never getting my old account back, so this is my new main account. Uh, Continuing on though, Beta Ray Bill would usually be in here in the mix as well. And instead of Psylocke, you would have Ravana in here. So Ravana is very useful because any of those five cards I just mentioned, if they are drawn before you can play Mr. Negative, their cost goes down one. So at least then you could end up starting to play some of these cards. So, Iron Man you can play on turn four. Goran, Taskmaster are, five costs, so it's doable. You can play them earlier as well. Especially if you have a magic out, then you can, use turns five and six to set up with the ones you have to pay for, and seven to finish the setup slash play whatever ones you have now that cost zero. Uh, so it's a nice kind of slow building and then burst at the end kind of idea with both negative decks that I'll end up talking about. Now, uh, Wong is here in part because there are more on reveals in this deck compared to the other one that I will talk about and post tomorrow. So you could use Wong, use it on Taskmaster, use it on Thor or Beta Ray Bill to get an extra hammer. You could use the hammers on Wong itself to double their impact. And with Beta Ray Bills, you're doubling his power twice. That's what his um, hammer does. So that's kind of insane. It'll go from being a 6 to a 24 if you put it on with a Wong. You could also Mystique. The only two things Mystique can like take and mirror in this deck is Wong and Iron Man, um, and Gore. So you could use Mystique to get a second Gore, which would probably be near the end. Uh, in most games, unless you're playing an ongoing deck that has like no on reveals, usually it's around 20, give or take a few points when that happens. If you manage to flip Mystique so she's free, she gets a plus 3 to the ongoing effect for it. Um, some people, when I've seen play this deck, they feel like they need to play it as a surfer deck or a toxic surfer deck, which I call hazmat surfer deck because it's more accurate. And So now everything happens times four. Uh, that isn't as necessary and isn't necessary really at all in this kind of situation. You can It's probably far better to only have Wong by itself and then take three things to double with it. So you could double Taskmaster, you could double the hammers, you could double uh, Rogue's power. No, I don't think you can actually. So scratch that. You could double Ironheart. You can double Psylocke if you really need mana. Until you get Ravana, and then Ravana is an ongoing, and you can't really do that anymore. But um, there can and likely will be plenty of things that can be doubled. Taking out a space by adding Mystique is useful in some ways, but it's not necessary. You might even want to consider splitting Wong and Mystique into separate lanes when Mystique does the same thing as Wong. A, so that you can double more things, but more importantly, B, you can't be shut down. Um, when you're in a single lane. So if somebody puts Cosmo where Wong is, if Mystique was there too, you can't double anything. And although it's not necessarily the key to success, it is a path to success to have them. And so instead, if you have, say, you have Wong in lane one and you have Mystique on lane three, they shut down lane one. You can still put stuff on lane three and get them doubled. So that's something that's far different from Surfer or Hazmat Surfer decks because they want to pair them together so that they can play Surfer, Hazmat, Ironheart, get the times 4, and then Odin to get an additional times 8. That's the ideal situation for a Surfer deck. That's not necessarily the ideal situation for a negative deck. So consider splitting them up. Um, as in most, uh, I don't want to say as in most scenarios, but Um, at least one benefit of this negative deck is it's less affected by whether you draw Mr. Negative or not. So you can survive without drawing Mr. Negative by using Wong, Mystique, Thor, Beta Ray Bill, using Jane Foster Thor to gather the hammers. You do have an alternative path to success uh, with from without drawing Mr. Negative. Um, so there is that going for it, or decks that are in this kind of similar shakeup like that. You're still probably going to have problems with um, ongoing decks, though, since Gore is going to be your heavier or heaviest hitter. Um, and you're going to most times want to use Taskmaster on Gore. Um, the alternative for that is you could do it on Jane Foster, or if you've already beefed up Thor or Beta Ray Bill, you can also use Taskmaster on that. So you have like two other options for Taskmaster that are different from Mystique, Thor, and Beta Ray Bill. So, worth mentioning. So you can still survive decently with against the ongoing deck as long as your ducks are in a row. As long as you drew Thor or Beta Ray Bill, as long as you have uh, a hammer or two for them, as long as you can get their impact doubled by Wong, then you can end up playing Taskmaster. And the hammers are cost 0, at least before you used Mr. Negative. Um, I'd probably say, in general, if you're on turn 5 of a 6 turn game or turn 6 of a 7 turn game, you really don't want to play Mr. Negative. At that point, it's kind of useless. You should be focusing on other things. Um, so those are things I wanted to mention. Uh, keep an eye out for things like Sauron decks with this build. It does not have a Shang-Chi, so it can't kill the big ones that are often used in Sauron decks. There's other decks too, like Thanos, that uses them, that have some heavy hitters. Airsham usually has some heavy hitters, either by chance or by design. So, in general, it's a good idea to keep these kind of matchups in mind because you may struggle a bit dealing with it. Okay, I think that's all I have about this version. This weekend or Monday, I'll end up talking about the other version that I personally like more, and think works better. But I wanted to give a nod to this version because some people like to play this variant, and it can work. I've seen it work. So until next time, hope you all have a good one. Janway out.